I'm a real deal. I'll shoot your liver out and hand it to you.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cue It Up podcast. And I guess my guest today is okay, like the definition of okay. Jennifer Barretta. How's it going?
It's going well. How's it going for you?
Well, I'm day 3 of the quarantine and I'm all hunkered down in my apartment. I haven't seen the sun in a week and my cats are annoying.
Social distancing.
Yes.
We don't say the Q word anymore.
And I haven't played pool for about 4 days now, so I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't missed a ball in 4 days. It's the first time in my life I think I can say that.
That's, I'll have to say, because we just started this whole social distancing thing, and both of my businesses closed this morning. But I live right down the street from the pool room that I own, and I'm still going to play pool. I'm coming out of this a ball better. That's all I have to say.
Well, what do you have better to do? There's just nothing to do. All you got to do is pool.
That's right. And it's available. It's right there. I can bring my dog. I can listen to the music I want to listen to. It's like my own personal practice room. It's going to be great.
Nice. So we can actually start with your businesses. I think that'd be a great place to start with. Tell us about your 2 businesses, what your rooms offer, how many tables, full menu, all that good stuff. Give us an advertisement for your business in New York City.
Okay, well, actually, I have a gym, personal training gym that I've owned with my son's father for over 10 years now, 10 to 12 years. And it's basically private personal training. Trainers bring their clients in there. We do a class, like a full body workout class, which is what keeps me in shape. I do it twice a week. And that we just had to completely close. Although we are going to start doing that class on YouTube for free so people can do it from home, just so they can continue working out. That's actually Rich Barretta on YouTube. That's his channel. And then my other business is Skyline Billiards in South Brooklyn. That's a pool room. It has 12 gold crowns. 3 of them are very tight. And then 9-foot gold crowns. We have 1 diamond smart table, the bar box. I think it's a 7-footer. And then we have 2 5x10 heated 3-cushion tables and 2 professional dartboards. So it's a nice little place.
We're going to have to come back to a statement that you just made in there. I think it's a bar box. We're going to have to come back to that later based off a conversation that we had in Wisconsin about a month ago. But so listeners, remember that I said we're coming back to that. Well, first I should say that the fact that you're doing it for free on YouTube that's really cool, because obviously if you're going to be self-quarantining, sitting in your apartment, exercise is going to be the best way not to go crazy. And the fact that you guys are taking not only your business seriously, but your clients' health seriously and offering a free service to them that's actually pretty cool. That you don't see that very often with businesses. So I'll give some kudos to that. That's a pretty cool thing that you guys are doing.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that it's sort of the future anyway. People are more and more working from home. I think that the future of school is probably going to be online, so the more people are home, the more you have to offer them things that they can do at home.
Yeah. So it's, potential trial run for the future.
Yeah.
The Skyline Billiards, you said it was in South Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Anybody that listens to the podcast around the New York City area or, the New York State, road tripping is fun these days and the gas prices are so cheap. Head over and support Jennifer's business, because why not? And play on.
Well, and also, if you want to come over and have a little bit of action, you'll get it. I like to play people for money. There are a lot of people there that will play. I put the call out on Facebook the other day. I got 1 taker, but that's what makes me better at this point. There aren't a lot of things I can compete in, so gambling is the way to go.
Well, if I'd have known that when you were in Wisconsin, I'd have gave you action. We should
bar box action.
Yeah,
I don't do bar box.
We should have played some bar box action. Maybe we could have found a nice 8-footer and meet in the middle.
Only if it has super tight pockets.
How about big side pockets?
I don't gamble on buckets.
Well, I can't make a ball on a tight table, so now we're really in trouble.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Exactly right. So we can move on from there. So we can move into your actual career and your, I guess, life in general. You have a rich history of really being a pretty top competitor in a bunch of different things. You've been an actress, you've been a tennis player, you have done physique building, if I'm not mistaken for that.
Yep.
How did you end up eventually settling with pool given all of the other options that you've had?
Well, it all started when I moved to New York City because at the time I was just coming out of, I guess now they call it fitness, being a fitness competitor. I don't know what they call it, but we were calling it bodybuilding. It wasn't bodybuilding because I wasn't big, but we had moved to New York. My ex-husband was a trainer and he was out all day and I wasn't working and I was just home. We had just moved. I didn't have any friends. So I started looking for something to do when he was busy. And a friend of mine was into ballroom dancing. So I tried ballroom dancing, but God, it was so expensive. It was like $75 an hour for lessons. And then I tried to go back to tennis and it's the same thing in New York. They don't have courts outside that are free. So the tennis time was, $60 or $75 with an instructor. And I'm like, I can't really afford that. I'm not working. We were just new to the city. And then one day my ex-husband and I were walking around and we walked into a pool room and we started playing pool and he beat me. And I was like, wait a minute. Why is he better at this? That doesn't make any sense. He was better at other things. We would snowboard together. We did a lot of active stuff together and he was always better, but that's active stuff. And I'm looking at pool and I'm like, there's no reason that he should be better than me at this. So I called around and I was going to take secret lessons and I was going to come back and beat him. So I called around and at the time, Chelsea Billiard Club had this pool school. I went for the first night of pool school. One of the instructors said, you have some natural ability. And if you wanted to, you could be a pro. And at that moment, I was just like, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know why. And I ran home that night and I just told him right out. I was like, I'm going to be a professional pool player. And he was just like, yeah, okay.
How long was it until you played your ex-husband again and just drilled him on the table?
Well, we played a bunch because he knew I really loved it. And it took a good 6 months before I was able to just make it not fun for him where, he couldn't even compete with me anymore. And then he stopped playing and, I had just moved on to the tri-state tour and, getting a coach. And I was just buying every book. We didn't really, back then the internet had no information on pool at all. So I would go into Barnes and Noble and they had pool books and I bought every pool book I could find, just asked everything from any player I could find. All I wanted to do was learn. And after asking around for about 2.5 years, I had sort of plateaued and I was just asking who can teach me? I know there's something that I'm not doing right, because I'm not getting any better and I know there's more to learn and I don't know who to learn it from. And a friend of mine, a girl who was also playing pool, she was getting better and she was working with this guy, Stu Matana, local New York guy, tons of knowledge about the game, started working with him. And within another 2.5 years, I turned pro. So within 5 years from picking up a cue, I got my pro card.
It shouldn't surprise you, right? Because of all of the success you've had in your previous life, I say previous life as in what you did before pool, there is definitely something to the winning mentality that is found in just about anybody who reaches very high levels in whatever you're doing. And that is transferable generally to other tasks of your life. So if you're successful in one thing, it's significantly easier to get extremely successful in something else. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that it took you 5 years to get pro, but that's still pretty crazy impressive.
When I look back on it, the amount of hours that I put in and the sacrifice, of everybody else would go out and eat and I would stay behind in the pool room and hit balls, and it was like, I was just obsessed with it. And I think that the thing that makes anybody better at anything is continued learning. Once you stop learning, it gets boring, it gets stale, and you don't get better, So even to this day, I'm like, there's still things, and I have a list of them. I always keep a list of the things that I need to learn and improve. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm so into it. I still want to play. But the moment you just think, okay, I've hit that point and, all I have to do is just hit balls and I'll get better. That's just not how it works.
One thing that you kind of mentioned earlier, you asked a ton of people a bunch of advice to basically help your game get better, right? And that is kind of unique. I've only met you, I think, in person once, at least to the point of being able to talk to you, met you. And you are extremely willing to take time and show me one of your kicking systems. And I kind of asked you afterwards, like, why are you so willing to give out your information? And you had mentioned because everything that I learned was secondhand from somebody else. And you look at it as almost like a rite of passage to pass on that information from the people that taught you to other people that you can help with it. That is kind of a unique thing with the pros, that not all the pros are willing to give away your secrets, but you're almost giddy to. It's another unique characteristic about you that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, this is what keeps the game alive. When you learn how to get that little piece of information, you want to go in the pool room and practice it and learn it and, maybe show it to other people and gets other people interested. So by giving somebody that ability to learn, you're continuing the sport. It's really crazy to just keep all that inside you. It's stifling the sport by doing that.
I wish that everybody had that same exact mentality towards the game. I think it would be in a little bit better spot, at least at the amateur level, than maybe what it is right now. So that's pretty cool. So we can move on from that, and we can move on to your actual professional career after your initial game. And you've been competing now on a bunch of different women's tours, and you are actually currently the number one ranked women's player for the WPBA.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. How long are you going to hold on to that for?
I don't know. We were supposed to have an event on Thursday. I just canceled my ticket. Obviously, we are not having it. Who knows if I would hold on to it? I would try, obviously. But for now, I'm the number one player. And, I never had set my sights that high. I didn't really think it was achievable. And part of that is because the tour used to be so much more competitive. We lost a lot of the players because it's expensive to travel. The prize money's not that good. We're not on TV anymore. All the action is really overseas. But, still, I'm happy with the achievement. It's not something I thought that I could do.
Yeah, I mean, you're the number one player. That is something to be proud of. So you said that the money isn't that great. And it's obviously this isn't tennis. This isn't golf. This isn't something like that where, first prize is in the hundreds of thousands. But the women's divisions and their tours are the men's don't even have them. And that's kind of a testament to, I guess, the women's tour, that you guys have a tour and you're able to give away some pretty decent amount of money still for your first prizes for a lot of these events. That it's nothing to, shake a stick at. There's a decent amount of money in some of those tournaments. It's nice that you guys have that at least as an option to be able to compete and make a living if you wanted to, and you were obviously good enough to.
Yeah, I think make a living is a strong word, strong phrase. For me, it's like a very rewarding hobby. The money that I make from it is not life-changing. Obviously, I have businesses. I live in New York. It's very expensive. I did make a living playing pool for 2 years there when I was doing exhibitions all the time. I was just always on the road. And then when I had my son, that all sort of stopped. But I still love it. I actually love it more now because it is a hobby. I don't have to do it. I do it because I want to do it.
Yes, there is definitely a big mental transition there, that you're doing something because you love it and you love the game, as opposed to, well, I got to pay bills and get the food on the table type of mentality, for sure.
Yeah, I think I would hate it if that was the case, honestly. I mean, like I said, I did it for 2 years. It was new and it was fun, but the travel does start to wear on you after a while. You just want to be home. Yes,
and especially with a new kid, you want to be around him, of course.
Yeah. Once I had my son, that all stopped.
So what are some of your, I guess, future goals in the game then? You mentioned, obviously, you had your son and you aren't playing nearly as, let's say, professionally as, quote unquote, professionally, meaning you're not relying on this as an income anymore. What are some of your future goals that still exist in the game?
One of the things that I would really like to do, and I wouldn't call this a goal, but like rent an RV and just drive cross country and stop in all the pool rooms and just, get a little bit of action all the way across to California and back. That would be super cool to me. That would be so much fun.
That is like a bucket list that I would have too, is just going to all the, Buffaloes and going to, all of the hard times, going to Steinway, going to Skyline, all these, iconic pool rooms throughout the country. That would be a really, really cool thing to do.
Right? I know. That would be fun. Actually, that would be a good reality show, wouldn't it?
Depending on who was the person doing it, yeah.
Just load up a couple of players and, drive cross country. That'd be a lot of fun.
Jennifer Barretta, Jeanette Lee, Johnny Archer, Earl Strickland, and throw Rodney Morris in there too, and just travel the country. That'd be pretty funny to watch.
I think that would be a lot of fun, actually. Somebody needs to do that.
The real world pool halls.
The real pool hall edition.
That's going to go completely over the heads of the younger listeners.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot. They don't know about that. They don't know about the real world. Sort of like the Kardashians in an RV with pool cues. How about that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it'd be pretty fun. So what are some of your bigger events coming up? Obviously, I know it's obviously going to be a little weird with the coronavirus, but was there any of the big events on the radar that you had that you were looking forward to in the coming years or coming year?
Well, there was a signature event. Like I said, in a few days, I was supposed to go to Tennessee, which is Janet Atwell's room, Borderline Billiards. Always a great event. Always, she's a lovely person, great room. And then that got postponed without a date yet. The Super Billiards Expo, we have a pro event there. That got postponed to June 11th. So that'll probably be my next professional event. And then there are a few more on the schedule. Hopefully those will be fine just how they are. I'm going to start accepting. I've stopped accepting overseas invites just because, I don't know, I'm busy. I don't even know why, but I think I'm going to start going overseas again. It's a long trip. It's like a 15-hour flight. I enjoy it, but you have to stay a full week at least to adjust to the time, and practice hours are limited, and but I want to do it again, definitely.
That's where the action is too. That's where a lot of the money is.
That's where the greatest players in the world are. I mean, if you want to compete with the greatest players and say you're one of the greatest players, that's where you got to go do it.
For sure. I guess that could conclude the first part of the interview, which is kind of just your history and where you're at and where you're going, basically. The second part of the interview is more of a get-to-know-you type of interview that anybody who's been around the podcast for a while, I haven't done one of these for a little while, and it's kind of just been just haven't really had time to get to do some of these because they're a little bit more time-consuming, but they're a lot of fun. So these are going to be questions that are going to give a better insight as to who Jennifer Barretta is as a human being and not a pool player. So does that sound like fun?
That sounds like a lot of fun, yeah. Because
Okay.
I think people have a lot of misconceptions about me. So
What is the biggest misconception about you? Question number 1.
that I grew up rich, I think.
Huh. You grew up poor.
Not poor, but
Okay.
I had everything I needed, but like it was very blue collar. It was Pennsylvania. It was the suburbs, nothing fancy. Grew up working on cars with my brother, all that good PA stuff.
Yeah, so I think that is a common misconception with a lot of people who have reached a very high level of success especially across multiple disciplines, is people think that they just had it better and they've had better opportunities, or that, they're rich. And what that usually is a self defense mechanism to justify other people's success and ignoring your own failures. So I'm guessing that's a little bit of what that might be.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Just maybe. So what would be the ideal way you would spend a birthday?
The ideal way I would spend a day would be, I love food. I love really good food. So we in New York, we have a lot of, the top rated restaurants in the world, and they're super expensive. Obviously you can't afford to go to them all the time, but on a birthday, to go to one of these great places and have, just the tasting menu, whatever they put in front of you, you eat it, have some drinks. Like, that's the ideal birthday for me.
What's your favorite type of food?
It's so tough because I love everything. But if I had to choose one type of food that was my absolute favorite, it would be Korean food, followed by French food.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever had somebody answer that with Korean food. But you've spent a
My
lot of time in
favorite.
Korea probably playing pool, so you've had a real good opportunity to try a lot of their different foods, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, but it really started when I became friends with one of the girls in the pool room who was Korean, and she took me to a couple places here in our Koreatown, and I just fell in love with it. It's so good, and it's like comfort food. I'm Italian. It sort of reminds me of Italian food in a way. It's just, I don't know, just makes you feel good to eat it. And then when I went to Korea, I realized that in Korea, the food in New York is authentic. It tastes like the food in Korea. It's really good.
Yeah, a girl that I met in the pool room introduced me to a lot of fun foods too. It's got to be the Asian women that you meet at pool rooms that introduce you to the best food, because that's my favorite food probably in the world is Laotian food, and I was introduced to that by her. So you want to have good food?
I've never had it. What do they eat?
Oh, Laotian food is so good. They have a lot of different types of curries. My favorite is larp, which is it's like a very seasoned type of chicken with a lot of like lime, and it's really hard to describe.
Okay, no, the curry sounds good to me. I love anything curry.
Yes, yeah, it's really really good. If you ever have a chance to go to a Laotian restaurant, and order larp.
I will do that.
It'll change
in New
your
York.
life.
We have one somewhere for sure.
Oh yeah, probably on the other side of the block or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So if you had to sit down and play a board game with your family, loser has to clean the house. What board game do you play?
Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, that game is so funny. It's so
It's
funny.
so fun.
There's some of those cards that I don't know that I'd want to play that necessarily with my family. Some of those cards are pretty bad.
Yeah, some of them are, but it sort of makes it more fun that I have this thing where I am most comfortable being uncomfortable. Like I enjoy being out of my comfort zone and pulling I'm not going to say the card. We all know what the card is, but pulling that one in front of like your dad come on, that's funny.
It definitely is. It definitely has a level of uncomfortable humor to it. That's good stuff. You are about to play in the finals of the U.S. Open. How do you prepare to get ready for it if you have 15 minutes?
15 minutes. The first thing I'm going to do, like the very first thing, is I'm going to go onto the table that I'm playing on. I'm going to check the rails, and I'm going to see if all my kicking systems are working. I might hit a few balls. If I've been playing through the whole tournament, I don't need to really hit balls. I'm going to be in stroke. And for, the last half of that time, I would just sit quietly somewhere and go over in my head all the times that I've had success and try to remember what that feels like. And also maybe try to allow myself to feel that fear that sometimes you feel, like worrying about missing a ball or worrying about playing bad, and allow myself to feel that and just let it pass and remind myself that I'm in control of the moment, and, stuff like that.
For sure. If you could own any exotic pet to live with you, what pet would you have?
Ooh, I love exotic pets. I used to have a snake. And I used to have a frog when I was a kid. I loved reptiles, but
My wife just cringed when you said you had a snake. I've been trying to let her get me a snake for, so long.
They're cool. The only thing is you have to feed them mice. That's the only thing I don't like about it. So I would not have another reptile. But am I guaranteed it's not going to eat me? Because if that was the case, I would want like a lion or a tiger.
Well, if that big cat turns out to be anything like mine, it's going to be really hard to sleep when they're on your face.
As long as it's not going to eat me, I'll get used to that. But it would be so cool to have like a tiger, walking on around the neighborhood on I don't know, a nice leash.
Diamond encrusted leash.
Yeah.
You could become friends with Mike Tyson. You can walk your tigers together.
Yeah, that would be so cool. People jump off the sidewalk. That'd be really cool. As
you strut around with your...
Yeah, actually I have a pit bull now and people do that now. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. People tend not to like pit bulls too much, which is unfortunate because they're, obviously you got to raise the dog right. But pit bulls are like the biggest teddy bears of any dogs out there.
They are. They really are. If you really know one, that's how most of them are. I mean, of course, there's always bad apples, but usually that's a product of their upbringing and not of their nature.
Correct. The worst pit bull is still better than the best snotty little 7-year-old that's throwing stuff at you all the time.
The Chihuahua is the most vicious breed of dog.
my dad has one of those. I don't know how many times my ankles have been bit by that dog. And I hate Chihuahuas.
I appreciate them. I think that, I like their feistiness.
You relate with them in a small way?
I do, actually. Small but feisty.
That's funny. So if you could work any job, what is your dream job?
Ooh, my dream job. Interior designer. I would love to be an interior designer.
What? As a dream job?
Yes.
That's some insight right there. What about it is so appealing?
I don't know. I went to art school I went for fashion design, worked in the industry for a while. I've always had a creative side. And then when I was building, because I had a couple gyms in the city and we were saving money, so we couldn't really afford an interior designer. So I did the interior design for both of them, and just finding these cool little solutions to make something look great that isn't expensive. It's so rewarding, and then I actually, from those two gyms, I did some gyms they're putting up all these new apartment buildings and stuff, and that each one is putting in a gym. So I got to do a couple of those, and I just really enjoy it. I don't know what else to say. You get to express yourself, through making an interior look a certain way. It's great.
That's a pretty good way of describing it. I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go back to earlier when I was teasing the listeners to remember. You showed up to Wisconsin's State Pool Players Association tournament, and you were doing challenge matches. And I was lucky enough to get stuck with you for a night where I got to heckle you, and I think I made you miss 4 balls by the end of it. I'm pretty sure that's what the count was.
Probably something like that. Yeah, not a lot considering how many matches I played.
Yeah. Yeah, she only played 5. She's lying. But anyways, at one point in time, you had said that this was the first time that you've seen a Valley bar box in like 15 years. How does somebody who lives professionally as a pool player go that long without seeing a 7-footer?
Well, New York is not a bar table place. I mean, any pool room you go in, they might have one bar table. They might not have any bar tables. Like I said, we have one bar table. We typically, it sits there in the dark. So I guess I see one, but I don't ever play on it. Yeah. And when you play professional pool, that's just not what you use. Although I do go out to the BCA occasionally and I'll play 10 ball on the bar box. That's fun. I like that a lot. But yeah, it's just not something I do. I'm looking for a big table with small pockets. Sometimes I'll play snooker. We have a room around here that has a snooker table. I'm looking to make it harder, not easier.
Playing 10 ball in a snooker table is whenever I'm feeling good about my game and I feel like I figured it all out, I go play 10 ball on a snooker table, and then I remember exactly why I'm terrible at this game.
Yeah, putting
But
the pool
it's
balls on the
so
snooker
much
table
fun.
is fun. I love that.
It's so much fun, but it'll remind you in a heartbeat how bad you are. Maybe not you,
Oh,
but me.
every flaw is magnified. You know, you see it on those long shots. You just miss balls by so much.
Yes. The go-to, well, let's ask you this. What is your go-to drill for getting in stroke fast?
Go-to drill would be like shots. Well, I'll throw all the balls out onto the table and I'll freeze the cue ball to the back rail. And it doesn't matter where I shoot from. Typically, I try to keep it in the center, right on the Brunswick. And then I just try to make all the balls in the corner pockets only, the top corner pockets. But I have to shoot them all from the back rail, you know, frozen to the back rail. That gets me in stroke.
And shooting off the rail is, I mean, one of the toughest shots on the pool table. So that's definitely something to be well practiced on.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is you really just have to follow straight through. You can't have any hitch in your stroke. You can't have any has to be super smooth. You have to have a really good vision of the contact point and everything else. So, you know, and if it's a ball, obviously they can't be made from the center. I can move it here or there, like if I have to cut one along the top rail. But after I do that, you know, with like 15 balls, I feel pretty good usually.
So here's a question then. When you shoot off of the rail, do you shorten your stroke out, or do you continue keeping it long and just trust that everything in your stroke is going to be straight?
I typically take a smaller backswing. Less backswing is less that can go wrong when you go forward.
For sure. Yeah, in the last year, I've tried to, this isn't about me, but I'm going to say this. In the last year, I've tried to keep my stroke long when shooting off the rails as much as possible, and really, you know, focus on getting my fingers off from the rail and getting them out there as long as possible so that I could continue keeping my stroke about where it needs to be. And I found that when I'm playing well, I'm playing really well. But when I'm playing bad, and that stroke isn't coming through exactly how it's supposed to, I got no chance of making any balls.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, there's something to be said about a shorter backswing.
Yes. Yes, especially if you're not playing as much as you should be.
Mm-hmm.
So we can move on. What was your favorite vacation that you remember taking as a child?
Favorite vacation as a child? We just used to go. I mean, I didn't grow up like that. We didn't really have vacations. The one time I remember going on vacation, we went to the Jersey Shore. I think we went to Atlantic City. You know, that was when you could still go to the beach there.
Yeah.
Now you really wouldn't go there, would you? But I remember that really clearly. You know, that was a nice little vacation with my grandparents and parents.
Got you. What is your favorite thing about being a mother?
My favorite thing about being a mother is, God, there's so many things. It's just so rewarding. You know, I'm homeschooling my son, so I like that hands-on, you know, you're like molding this human being. That's really what it is. You're like shaping a person. And when you see the person that they become, you know, like my son, he's like very generous with his friends and accepting of people and funny. You know what I mean? It's really cool. That's the best part, is just watching them become this person that you've helped create.
For sure. Yeah. If you could snap your fingers and solve one of any world problem, what would it be?
One of any world problem, I would say it would have to be something about kids because they're defenseless, you know, so maybe hunger among children. No child should go hungry.
That's a really good insight on where your mind is for you look at the most vulnerable of us. That's kind of a fun answer.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else should be able to take care of themselves. Obviously, you know, people have disabilities and things like that, and they need help too. But, you know, kids are, yeah, they need the most help.
For sure. So what is one thing that you are most proud about your game? And what is one thing that you are most upset that is not quite better about your game?
The one thing that I'm proud of in my game is the amount of knowledge that I've accumulated. Whenever I do something at the table, it always has a reason behind it. I can explain my reason. I don't just take random shots and, say, oh, I'll just make this ball and then make that ball. It's like there's a lot that goes into how I play the game. And I would say the thing that I'm least happy about would be probably I just never really worked on jump shots. I worked so hard on my kicking. I kick really well. I know tons of different kicking systems that I just sort of let my jump game go to the side. And you need to jump. You need to be good at it. The players now, when they pick up a jump cue, the ball's going in. It's not even a question. So I'm a little disappointed in myself that I haven't really got myself into the pool room and just focused on jump shots. But it's also kind of annoying. I hate being bad at things, and I feel like I'm bad at it. And I don't know.
You just have to have one of those. And this is actually a good story if you wanted to tell it. The reason why you started getting really good at bank shots.
Yeah. Okay. So bank shots. So I'm playing a match, and this girl is playing really good. I don't think she normally plays like that. She's making everything. I'm actually playing pretty well, and the match goes hill. She misses a ball, or maybe I came up short on position. I don't remember, but I had a bank in the side that, I just should never miss. It's one that everybody makes. It's just an easy cross side bank. And I missed it. Not by a lot, but I did miss it. And I realized that, I just didn't really ever shoot bank shots. I avoided them at all costs. And the fact that I lost this match like that just gutted me for a month. And so I decided that's it. I'm working on bank shots. And from that day, that was a while ago, when I practiced, I would play the ghost. And if I missed playing the ghost, I had to bank the rest of the balls in, bank or kick the rest of the balls in. And now my bank game is really good. I can bank the balls and I use it a lot, lots of two-way banks, but a lot of times those two-way banks are going right in the hole. So, yeah, I think I need to maybe do the same thing with jump shots. I don't know. We actually had a fun time in Wisconsin playing jump horse. We had all of our jump cues out. You had 3 and I had 3. And, yeah, we just had all of our tools out, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun, even though I lost.
Well, if there's one thing that I can do well, it is jump. I kick the balls like an absolute idiot, and I bank the balls like, your average B player. So your APA 4. If there's one thing I can do, it's I can jump. And that game of jump horse was a lot of fun. You had a James Handshoe, you had your Mez break cue, and then you had one other one that I'm blanking on.
The Lomax, Steve Lomax.
The Lomax. And then
Yeah.
I had the original Jumpin' James and Dick Davis, and then a Q-Tech Propel. And I had to swing with my own one, but you were using a cue that wasn't even your own and playing. So that's pretty impressive. It was fun.
Well, I had to try it out. That was a lot of fun. I know. And you hit a really nice jump draw shot with my Mez break cue.
I honestly thought about waiting for you to look away, and maybe I could grab it and get enough of a running start that you wouldn't be able to catch me. But then I remembered I'm out of shape and old, so I figured I wouldn't even try it. But that break cue hits pretty good, full cue jump.
Pretty sweet.
That Lomax was nice too. I like that.
Yeah, I know. I love my Lomax. It's super duper accurate. It's just the close jumps.
Yep.
The Handshoe for close jumps is the only way to go.
Yes. So that was fun, and I'm glad that you hung around a little while afterwards to play that, and it made me happy. So thanks.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So if you could be any animal for a week, which animal would you be?
Well, I think that you sort of have to be the lion, right? You want to be like the king of the jungle. You don't want to be prey. I don't want to be prey. You got to be the predator.
Oh, I think I'd have to be a bird, like an alcatraz or something, so I could just fly over the ocean and check it out. That'd be fun.
That's kind of cool. Does anything eat them? Do they? Yeah, no. I didn't really think about birds.
or maybe even like a humpback whale, because they get to
Yeah.
like dive really deep and get to see a lot of the ocean. I'm a huge ocean person. I'm like a super sucker for, and my guilty pleasure in life, and this can be a fun question for you afterwards too. My guilty pleasure in life is watching ocean documentaries. I just love them. That's what I do to be
Yeah.
happy.
I like that too, actually.
I've watched every single one on Netflix and now Disney Plus, and I'm looking for my next fix.
Yeah, no, there's some good ones out there. I've seen a bunch of them too. I really like that. Although I would say that I'm more of a Food Network kind of gal.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
that can be your next question. Is that your guilty pleasure?
that is probably my guilty pleasure. That and American Idol videos, like audition videos. I don't watch the show, but when the audition videos are on Facebook, I can't stop watching them. But yeah, Food Network, because I love to cook. I grew up cooking. I came from an Italian family. My grandmother made everything from scratch. So that means I made everything from scratch with her. I still do. I make fresh pasta. I make, sauce, and I just make everything. So yeah, Food Network would be big for me.
The natural next question is, how good is your risotto?
My risotto is amazing.
I don't believe you. You're going to have to prove it.
Well, that's something you can only eat fresh. So I'm going to have you over for dinner if you're ever in Brooklyn.
Deal. I'll take it. Risotto is the best. It's so good.
Yeah, it is delicious. But I have to say, like, my homemade pasta is pretty sweet too.
Well, risotto is best served as a side dish. So
when you're ready to carb up, come over.
I will. Maybe I'll have to find some marathon on the East Coast and carb up the night before.
Yeah, there you go.
What is your least favorite household chore?
Least favorite household chore would be vacuuming. I can't stand vacuuming.
Oh, I
Like,
love vacuuming.
do you?
I
have a good vacuum too. I have a Dyson, which I love. I mean, it really picks stuff up, but it's just a pain in the butt going, I don't know.
I love it because it's the perfect opportunity to listen to podcasts. So,
Oh, yeah,
I hate doing dishes. I hate doing dishes because, you get the advertisements in the podcast and you just want to skip it, but you can't because your hands are all wet. And so you can't skip it. I love doing laundry because I just set laundry down and I just skip my advertisements. I base my life around my podcasts, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. Although I have a dishwasher, so I don't really wash dishes.
We have one too, but there's some things that obviously you don't throw in a dishwasher, and those are. I wash probably like 7 pots or pans a week, and that alone is enough to drive me crazy. I just don't like it.
I get it.
Are you an art person?
I am an art person.
What is your favorite style of art?
I actually think Renaissance art it's so impressive. The realism is unbelievable. And if you've ever tried to draw anything, then you realize how amazing these people were and how trained they were. Where like some modern art, especially when I'm walking through the city of and I see these modern art galleries and I'm just like, come on, I can do that.
Well, that makes sense, right? Because you're Italian. So the 1400 centuries of you probably know quite a bit about them. And Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, I mean, all those, they were so insanely talented with everything, not just, I mean, that's the Renaissance man, right? Is you're not only an architect or a painter or, a sculptor, you're also your local doctor and your local physician and your local surgeon. It's crazy the well-roundedness of some of those human beings in that Italian time period.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of that fed into their art and made their art better. Like working on people's bodies. I forget who it was, but they sort of did autopsies
that was Da
on
Vinci.
people,
And
that helped them paint more realistically because they knew what was underneath and they could sort of, it helped their art.
Or at least Da Vinci was known for doing that, which was he had to do it in secret because it was illegal to do that.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, right? Yeah. But I have to say, though, my favorite artist, like if I could only pick one favorite artist, it would be Van Gogh. I do love Van Gogh.
I'm going to sell out my illiteracy here, but I do know that there is pre-Psych Ward Van Gogh and post-Psych Ward Van Gogh, and they're very, very different styles of art. Do you have a favorite between those two, or do you just appreciate it all?
I appreciate it all, but I guess his later stuff is just really striking to me. I don't. It's so original and unique, and it was just different from anything else. It still is. I mean, it's just he had his own style, and maybe it was his craziness, but
Yeah.
it certainly made beautiful artwork. Van Gogh. And actually, I went into the Met. Was it the Met or MoMA? No, I went to MoMA with my friend, and I didn't even know it was there. And I see a crowd, and I walk up, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Starry Night!"
Yeah.
It was like seeing a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like,
if I didn't sell out my art ignorance before, I definitely did now.
it's okay. It's all right. I went to art school, so
Did you have any siblings growing up?
I have an older brother that I grew up with, and I also found out, maybe like 10 or 12 years ago, that I had an older half brother that was put up for adoption.
Wow. Did you ever look into it? Were you able to meet him or anything like that?
Yeah, my father, I guess, had gotten his girlfriend pregnant before he met my mother, and they put it up for adoption. And he really didn't tell anybody. And then he, about 10 or 12 years ago, I guess he found his son found him. And my father embraced him right away. And so he came to all of our family reunions and things like that. And then just recently he came up to New York, and we had lunch, and it's cool. It's like, it's nice to have another family member, and we're having lunch, and I'm watching him, and his mannerisms are just like my father. And it's like, it's so genetic, it's such a weird thing. Like, all of that is in your DNA, because obviously he didn't learn it from my dad. He didn't grow up with him. So it's sort of fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot of twin studies where there's twins separated at birth, and one, same thing. They're both given up for adoption, but they're not sent out together. And the mannerisms that they share, even having basically never met each other for any real part of their life, yet they're still so remarkably similar. And
the choices they make are similar, not just the way they look and the things that they do, but like the choices in life that they make. It's fascinating.
Yeah, that's the nature versus nurture. It's the discussion.
Yeah.
It's live. It is live.
I have a degree from Villanova. I studied psychology. That was my first go at an education. So that always fascinated me, the whole nature nurture thing.
Villanova. That's a great school. And you won a couple national championships recently.
Yeah, I know. That happened. They actually won one a year or two before I started there. But, it wasn't really the right school for me. I went there because my father was a professor and a dean there, which he still is. It wasn't really the school I wanted to go to, but I'm happy that I had that education.
Yeah, for sure. If you could go back to the day that you and your ex-husband played pool and he completely crushed you and you stood no chance, and you could replace pool with any other game, basically the question is, if you could have started over and played any other sport, including pool, what sport would you have played to become a professional at?
Pool. I love it. There's just nothing else like it. Okay. So you don't make money, it's like there isn't a lot of glamour or anything, but there's just something about the game that sort of hits all of the points that I enjoy. Like, it's every rack is like a puzzle that you have to solve, and I love puzzles. And then, there's just so much to learn, and I love learning. And there's also a physical aspect to it that wouldn't be there if you were playing like chess or something like that. And then also, it's not a reactive sport. So you really have to have a lot of mind control, because you have all the time in the world to think about everything that could go wrong every single time you shoot. I don't know. Pool is just a beautiful game, and it's the only one I want to play.
What is the saying? Pool is a beautiful game played by ugly people.
Ugly people, yeah.
That is
Classic.
every time I hear that, I just like laugh so hard.
Yeah.
I really got to get a shirt that says that. How do they not have a shirt? I've never seen a shirt that says that. It seems like something.
I don't know.
It seems like something that has to happen. I need to get a shirt that says that.
I think you should make shirts that say that and sell them. That's what I think you should do.
All right, I'll do it.
And I can design them for you because I was a designer.
Well, there you go. We could be business partners and make
yes, I could start another
trillions
business
of dollars. I would say.
Although all of my businesses I've started with husbands, so
Oh.
that means we have to get married first.
Whoa. Wowzer. Alicia, better turn off the episode at this point. I'm blushing now. So we can wrap it up with two more questions. What is some of your biggest pet peeves?
Like in life or on the pool table or just
In pool or both?
in pool? Biggest pet peeve in pool, people that put the chalk face down and get chalk all over the rails, all over the cloth, all over me. You know what I mean? Like have a little tact. Put the bottom of the chalk on the table.
Yep. It's an easy thing to do.
Sure is. There's a professional that puts it on the side. She like lays the chalk on the side, and she's been playing pool probably 40 years. And I'm like, you don't know to put the bottom of the chalk face down, like down. How do you not know that? And sometimes I feel like she does it on purpose.
It's got to be a shark.
Yeah. How do you not know that?
It's got to be a shark. Do you have any big ones in life?
Pet peeves in life, excuses. Please do not make any excuses. I don't want to hear it. So easy to make an excuse, but taking responsibility and changing things, that is what I like.
For sure. My life is made of excuses. It's never my fault. Ever my fault. It's always either the ball skid or I just wasn't feeling good. Yeah, it's never your fault. Just remember that, people.
Hey, listen, balls skid, that happens. But is there something else that you could have done before that happened, or that's one thing that goes wrong? Usually, that's not what cost you the whole match.
Bingo. So the last question we will ask is: you have a professional player does not get to the level they're at without insane amounts of support from their families, their sponsors. Basically a bunch of different people that help you become the player that you are. They're not the reason you're there, but they've helped to support it. So why don't you take a couple seconds to thank some supporters, family members, loved ones, anybody who's helped you get to the level that you're at in your pool game today?
Oh my God, there's so many. Even like my ex-husband, the amount of hours that he sacrificed having me around, he was very supportive, never gave me a hard time about how much I played pool. And same, my current husband has been really, he's always putting me in action, and that really helps. He like backs me and finds me games, and that's just huge in making me a better player. Stu Matana, who is my mentor to this day, we still play once a week, but taught me really everything about the game, everything about strategy and position play and kicking and safety play and just everything, about how to play pool. Obviously, Predator has always been behind me. They, have done a lot for me over the years. They have, to me, the best equipment in the game. They put the most into the research and development, and they have the best products. And I feel like everybody else just copies what they do. Amsterdam Billiards, because they were giving me table time from, really when I first started. I think that they could see that I was serious about the game and that I wanted to be a professional, and they were very supportive of that. And they still are. I have my own pool room, and I still go there, and they treat me like a queen. And it's awesome. And I had one private sponsor. He's not my sponsor anymore, but he was super duper helpful. Always, sending me things that I needed, different chalk, helping me with expenses and things like that. A guy from South Dakota, John Shiflett, was super helpful to me. My son for giving me up when I have to go on the road. He hates when I'm away. He loves to be with me. I think that's it.
Perfect. Obviously, the professional players don't reach the level that they're at without tons of support. So it's always good to give the shout outs to the people that have helped along the way and have made sacrifices to allow you to get to that point. So
yeah,
I always try to highlight that as best I can when talking to players. And
yeah. Go
ahead.
Oh, no. I was just thinking of all the other people that I completely missed, but yeah.
Did you want to add them in?
No, it's good. It's all good.
Okay.
Those are the main players. There's, some others, but.
Gotcha. So I guess at this point, we can wrap this up. Jennifer, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to chat with you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
I will get the plans underway for our t-shirt business that's going to be starting up soon.
Okay, and when you do that and you come to South Brooklyn, bring your jump cues. We're going to have another game of jump horse, and I'm going to feed you risotto.
I will absolutely take that offer, and I want to let you know that I think you got me to HO last time. I'm not even going to let you get me a single letter next time. I'm just going to shut you out, and I got to start the shit talking now so that when we get there and I lose, I can cry even harder.
I was going to say, this motivates me, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I've got enough of a gauge in your personality at this point. But, if I can motivate you to become a better pool player, and then I can feel like, I can partially take credit. And maybe next time when you're giving a shout out to people, maybe I'd be on there for motivating you to be a better jumper.
There you go. Absolutely. That'll get it done for sure. Keep talking trash.
Perfect. Well, I thank you again, and till next time.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. If you like what you've heard and you listen through iTunes, please subscribe and leave a rating. It helps others find the podcast. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Jacoby Custom Cues, Cody's Cue Therapy, Jeff Glaz's CBD for Life Global, the Wisconsin Billiards Hall of Fame, the Rocks Sports Bar and Grill, the IQ Practice Cue Ball, and the Wisconsin Pool Player Society. If you like what you hear, consider supporting the people who support the podcast. I would also like to take this time to thank Matt Kitzman, Robert Miller, Natasha, Kurt Elliott, Scott Doolian, Corey Smith, William Sutherland, and Mike Teasy for their help to market the podcast to a larger audience. Lastly, I would like to thank my cousin Andrew Mindham for his band Hey Captain Neight's music as segment and filler music to the podcast. If you like what you hear, you can find all of his music at heycaptainneight.bandcamp.com. And Neight is Knight.